Well, it's great to be here. My name is Ryan Cochrane. The last time I was here was high school graduation. I missed my university grad, so I might just strut across the stage later if I feel like it. I'm a three-time Olympian and two-time Olympic medalist, and I've been lucky to represent Canada for over 10 years now. And I'm actually here on behalf of the RBC Olympians program. And it's a program that allows athletes like myself to interact with the community and really talk about excellence and leadership through sport. But I think youth leadership is so important, and I'm very excited to add to a great panel here tonight. Unlike many of the speakers here, this probably isn't going to be the most academic, even though I did go to UVic. I probably should have thought of that before I came back to UVic for that. But that's not to say that what I do doesn't take, an incredible amount of introspection and constant thought. My journey to leadership really started at about 17 years old when I was on my first time competing for Canada. And swimming is an individual sport. It really is. Back and forth every day, we see that black line. But it's something that I always wanted to stand out at because it was an individual sport. It's probably what drew me to it in the first place. That's not by being loud, abrasive, kind of in-your-face leadership, although some of my teammates definitely fit that mold. Instead, I've always tried to find that success in what I do. So I was fortunate to qualify for my first Olympic Games at 19 years old, and representing Canada is the best thing in the world, but I had dreamed about that since I was about 6 years old, and that's an incredibly long time. 13 years of that dream to reality, it's long, well, maybe not now that I look back on it, but every year I was aware of what my goal was, every month, every day. I knew what I was working towards pretty much that entire time. So by the time I got to the Beijing Olympics, I knew what my goal was. I knew what I was there to do, and that was to win a medal. I was lucky to be able to stand on that podium and reach my goal, but there was an underlying cost, I would say at the time, that I wasn't aware of. And I was thrust into the role of leader at 19 years old when I really wasn't ready for it. And to be honest, that made me very uncomfortable. It was like my bio read as a leader on the Canadian team. I think they said it every single time I ever had an accomplishment. And I was there to swim. So to act like a leader was really terrifying. At the time, I always thought I had to have the right answers for things. And little did I know, no one was expecting me to say the right thing. Everyone just wanted me to be a positive influence and to really continue to do well. Because I felt like those proper words always escaped me, I decided to lead by example. And by no means was I perfect. I'm quite the cynic. I'll be completely honest. I complain as much as anybody, but I know what it takes to be the best in the world at what you do. And I've always tried to lead by that. I'm aware of my goals. I don't forget them when the years get tough. I know the emotional side of sport can be, one of the worst things in the world. But I try to utilize my entire team. I ask for help. We have a team of 10 people that make us better, and I know each and every one of my teammates and my team can add something to my life, even though I was thrust in that leadership role. It's been about 8 years since my experience in Beijing, and my outlook on leader has changed quite dramatically. And don't get me wrong, I still try to lead by example. I remember that I don't have to be perfect to be a leader in the first place, but I think perfection doesn't really exist. So you just try to be the best kind of athlete you can be. I never let myself forget what it takes to continue to be successful in what I do. I'm always learning. I'm always asking for feedback, and I'm trusting all those people around me. During these last few summers, I've been very lucky to be a captain on our team, and I take great pride in being a captain, especially on this Olympic team. This team we had in Rio was so successful, and really just the pride was overwhelming, even though my results weren't really where I thought I'd like them to be. But these past couple summers, it was the first time that I could lead by example, but I also wanted to be very vocal in my role as a leader. I needed to know what that messaging would be. I think with experience, anybody can help those people around them. And during these games in Rio, as I look back, it's funny, it's my favorite experience as an athlete, although the results weren't quite there. Before the games, I had this epiphany. It goes back to when I started doing events like this and public speaking, and I thought I had to relate to every single group that I talked to, which is pretty difficult when you're talking to realtors, financial advisors, a group like this, and fellow athletes. So I think I've learned that the messaging and what we do is so cross-cultural. I learned it's great to lead by example, but I can help in a much greater way. When I spoke to our team this summer, especially some of our younger athletes, 15 years old at Olympic Games, I talked about my own Olympic experiences, fears I had, what was exciting, what I regretted, but seeing women like Penny Oleksiak win 20 Olympic medals at 15, 16 years old, I'm going to say we're at fairly different points in our lives. But seeing that success and being able to contribute in a small way and hopefully leaving a legacy in sport makes these games my absolute favorite. Looking back, I'm most proud of the success and how that'll influence next generations. And leading by example, but then becoming a positive role model is something I think I'll really hold close to my heart. I think legacy isn't something that I ever thought about until I was in my mid-20s, but I'm lucky my career spanned longer than those first couple years. When we speak about youth leadership, we speak about all of our different generations and how they see the world differently. And I believe our goals are all the same nonetheless. In order to inspire, you must know what your goals are. You never have to stop working towards them, and you need to know what you're working on that year, on that month, on that day. By learning from my failure, I think I've gained an incredible amount of knowledge that's made me a better person, both in and out of the water, but I think that's helped me learn that leadership is absolutely what you make of it. It can be internalized, much like how I started as a leader on our team, and it can be externalized when you're more comfortable with that message that you want to get across. Wherever life takes me, both in and out of sport, I now realize that I definitely leave a mark on the world. Whether that mark is through sport, education, or your career, I don't really think it matters. Just be aware of that and make the most of that influence no matter what age you're at. Thank you.